Hello toy fans, we're here with another one of our SeaQuest weekdays here, and today I'm wanting to look at Darwin. Now Darwin of course is the submersible, I guess, like underwater agent for the SeaQuest. He is actually Bridger's dolphin, and Darwin kind of gets a connection with a lot of the other characters in the show, including Lucas and actually O'Neill at one point, where they share kind of a psychic connection between the two before Darwin gets sick. But Darwin, for the most part, is kind of Bridger's, good friend and kind of partner in crime, and the only reason why Darwin's on board is because of Bridger. Now, with this Darwin action figure, we have, of course, our SeaQuest DSV card here, Darwin there showing up in the top of the bubble. There's a few things that boast here. We get to see everything that Darwin comes with, and it says includes a bonus dolphin tube system blueprint. I like blueprints, so I can't wait to see what that's going to be like. We get a picture of Darwin over here under the logo here, SeaQuest. There's Darwin for UEO. And it shows some of the stuff that he comes with: a sonar tag, a dolphin rebreather, mammal vocoder, and a SeaQuest display stand. I'd like to see how this display stand works for Darwin, considering it has a peg, but Darwin doesn't. Also over here, much like this one, it says bonus dolphin tube blueprints included. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to be like. We do have a picture of Darwin down here from the show, and I believe all the cards have that. So we get to see him here, but we also get to see him here on that card. Let's head to the back. On the back of the card, of course, we get to see, our stuff for the years 2018, which we looked at our last review. We get to see our cross-sell art, which is the same. It hasn't changed. Bridger, Ford, Darwin, Lucas, Hitchcock, Crocker, O'Neill, Dr. Z, and the Regulator. Now, with this, we also get that United Earth Oceans gear. And it says down here, it says, press Darwin's fins together, opening his mouth and emitting dolphin as quotes in its speech. So I wonder what that is. Only SeaQuest's computer can translate the secret information Darwin is bringing from the mysterious ocean. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to be like. Over here, we also have a sonar tag, and it's a transmitter. And I believe this is from the first episode when they need to put a tag on a sub, and they had Darwin take it out there and put it out onto the sub. We also have that mammal vocoder, so this is how they talk to Darwin. This is a piece of equipment that Lucas actually created. We get the rebreather over here, even though it doesn't really say it's the rebreather, like they don't have it listed. But that's the rebreather system and the display base. I see something with the display base. Here we get our information for the rebreather, and its underwater breathing apparatus allows dolphins to remain beneath the surface for prolonged periods. Uses adapted gill system technology to extract oxygen from surrounding seawater. Equipped with high-intensity light beacon, still camera, and high-def video camera that transmit images back to the ship. So even back in like 93, 94, we're getting stuff about high definition here. This is awesome. And it kind of fits with what's going on today in the world. Over here we get, of course, our file card for Darwin. Talks about everything we need to know. He's a non-commissioned officer. He's a male bottlenose dolphin, etc., etc. And then that's pretty much it. There's nothing else in the back. Let's head to the front. Now that's Darwin on the card, and there's nothing else that this card's going to tell us about this figure. We need to get this one out and get to exploring. And straight out of the package, this is Darwin and all the accessories here. Now this one, it's a little bit different than what we got with Lieutenant O'Neill, because Lieutenant O'Neill, of course, had a figure, had a base, and had a backpack, and, 3 extra accessories. Darwin doesn't necessarily come with the same thing, and he's not going to have the same articulation as Lieutenant O'Neill or the other figures in the line. However, what we do get is pretty interesting. Now, first I want to take a look at this base. So the base here does have the Darwin name, of course, with our SeaQuest DSV shark on the triangle. On the back, we don't have any sticker for him. technically he doesn't become an ensign until much later in the series. I think it's by like 5 or 6 episodes in, and I can't remember if the figure actually has him as an ensign or not, but there's no piping or ranking on his particular stand, which is interesting. His stand is going to be the same mold as pretty much O'Neill's stand, the exception of that sticker there that says Darwin. Now he does come with this peggable piece here, and this peggable piece, it pegs in and it can turn however you need to, so you can display him however you want, but it has kind of a tray here that's meant to hold Darwin there. So you can actually put Darwin onto this tray and have him pegged up so you can see him like basically displayed like all the other figures. Now with Darwin also comes, it's a type of beacon, so this is like a tagging beacon. And in the show, in the first episode, Darwin uses this to basically tag an enemy sub. They also have it's like basically the dolphin translator, it's the vocoder, which allows Darwin to talk to Bridger and the rest of the crew with basically like English. This is something that Lucas had made, and so we've got one of these with Darwin. It kind of makes sense. I believe we also get one with Bridger, probably one with Lucas. It makes sense for us to get them with those key characters. Lastly, we get this rebreather here, and my rebreather, it's kind of stiff, so it's going to take a while to get the piece onto Darwin, but it's kind of a softer plastic here, and then you've got these pieces that kind of glue in up here that's supposed to be a little bit harder plastic. Now it does have like tubing right there that kind of goes in. It's supposed to be tubing for the tanks here, and I don't know if it was supposed to be that movable or not, but I guess it had some wiggle room if it did shift or move. Now the only paint app is actually the yellow paint on this, and everything else is done in blue. On the actual card back, there's a ton of paint app with stripes and numbers and everything else. There's a part of me that wishes that we got a little bit more paint application on this piece. Now lastly out of our set we have Darwin, and Darwin has got some very nice paint application on him. He's got, this top gray section here that's airbrushed with different shades across the top. He's got the nice pinstriping up here that kind of indicates his skin and coloring. And yeah, he's got his numbers there on the bottom. The eyes are done really, really well, where we got really, really nice coloring in on the eyes. And his play feature goes like this. If you squeeze his fins, his mouth opens, and you can have him, give Darwin speak like, Darwin loves Bridger. Actually, it's more like, he does that, and then the vocoder makes all the noise for him. Now, interestingly enough, this piece actually fits onto Darwin. I'll see if I can't, on camera, do it this way. This has been one of those that it was really tough to do. Like the plastic itself is just kind of stiff and old. And it's one of those. Yeah, there we go. We got that strapped down. Let's see if we can get this one. It's one of those that if you do get a Darwin action figure, the plastic on this thing is probably over almost 30 years old at this point, so it's not going to be as pliable as we have with other figures in the past. What I like to do for display is I like to take him and put the beacon into his mouth and then put him on the display stand. One thing that I will admit that I have noticed with this play stand, when his rebreather harness is on, he does fall off really easily, and it's because of the way these belts and pegs are made. It doesn't necessarily want to stay on that very well. Now, I have to admit, I think this would have been really cool, especially if we'd have gotten like the 4-man sub or the working sub or even the Stinger class sub, to have Darwin, swim outside with this rebreather with these subs and be able to tag stuff. And I mean, it would have been so cool to have those particular vehicles with this dolphin and the figures. I absolutely love these sets. And I really find Darwin interesting. Granted, he doesn't have a lot of articulation. You know, his tail doesn't move or sway side to side. You know, he doesn't bend at all, which they probably could have done. You know, the tail fin I was thinking they would have had where you could like turn it up and kind of move to the sides, but they didn't have anything. The only thing it has is an opening mouth and fins. But for what we're getting for Darwin, with the rebreather, with the dolphin, with the beacon, the vocoder, and the stand, it seems to be enough for this particular character. Although I think that maybe like a little cephalopod or something with them for to eat would have been nice to have as well. I still think that all in all, this is a pretty cool action figure. And I wouldn't mind seeing this one with like, maybe, I don't know, the actual wet bay where we could have had Darwin in there, or a little piece of the bridge where Darwin could have swam around up there at the very front with the open water cell. Now, one last thing Darwin came with, and it was something that came in the package. He had this SeaQuest DSV blueprint, and the blueprint is basically a dolphin tube. I love blueprints, and I love the fact that Playmates was doing blueprints on some of their stuff. Playmates, I know at one point, like Kenner / Hasbro, when they were doing some of their vehicles in Star Wars, I love the blueprints. But I like seeing the actual dolphin tube system, where we get the dolphin tube path, we get to see how he moves out the ship, we get to see the plexiglass paneling, the airspace with the water level, and we get a whole thing over here that talks about how he's integrated into the ship itself. And I think that that is really, really cool. Now that's all I gotta say about Darwin. I think he's a pretty unique figure. I think he's pretty cool. It seems a miss to not have him in the collection with the other figures, especially if you have a Bridger action figure, or maybe even a Lucas, because, you know, they all have ties in with Darwin himself. It's a shame that we didn't get more vehicle sets and things that we could have used with our action figures, and even been able to incorporate Darwin, where he could have been a part of an adventure for kids to be able to do with subs or maybe a bridge set. But for what we got, it's a lot of fun. I could definitely see Darwin being used on multiple times in play, being able to go and do things outside of the ship, maybe even build a cardboard ship. But outside of that, he does kind of stand apart because he doesn't share the same, playability as the other figures, of being able to have him in the same space as a lot of the humans. So there's a part that makes him kind of stand out against the figures, though I think he's a worthy and added crew member to have. Remember, the episode for our SeaQuest DSV on Marvin Dog Media comes out. This is coming up Sunday on December 4th. Be sure to check it out at marvindogmedia.com. You can also find a link on the Facebook page for Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. And remember, they're not dolls. In this case, they're action figures of dolphins. Way to carry that beacon, Darwin. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.